Hello, my name is Aaron, and welcome back to the Retro Gaming Collective. Welcome back to another episode. I'm first going to tell you I'm a little bit under the weather. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I apologize about that. But I wanted to film this video anyway. A couple of days ago I went out and I did like a solo game hunting trip up in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, around Lancaster area, things like that. It's a trip that I like to do to kind of like relax and just get out and do the thing that I love to do, and that is game hunt. Now, I went up there with a very specific challenge in mind, and that challenge was to spend as little money as possible. And in that, what I did was I've told you guys that I've not been selling a lot on eBay. I've been taking a little break, but I have big buckets and bins and things of trade-ins, things that are not going to be worth me sending in to eBay or, you know, selling or anything like that. So I took all my stuff and I basically traded it in at stores and used some trade credit, GameStop, things like that to pick up what I think is a pretty solid group of games here. So yeah, let me get this stuff together and let's dive in and see what we found. The very first store that I stopped at, it's about an hour and a half from my house, but it's one of my favorites. It's a huge game store. It's called Complete in Box, and they have just about everything. They never have Atari Jaguar games, which is actually what I went up there looking for. I was hoping to find something for the collection. But what I did find was some pretty cool stuff here. And a kind of a hodgepodge. Again, the store is just so big and they have so many different things to pick from and choose. But I'm really, like, there are a couple of things that I'm looking for. One, Pokemon games, Xbox 360 games, because I've been playing a lot of that on my Trinitron over here. I'm actually in the middle of Modern Warfare 2 right now. I was actually just playing that. I'm looking for Wii U stuff, and I'm looking for Nintendo 64 stuff. So, without further ado, I want to show you what I got here, but I ended up getting about $115 in trade credit here. They only took a few things from me. They took a Genesis, a Sega Genesis, and some basically PS3 games and things like that to get what I got here. And this is stuff that I actually really want for the collection. Now, you guys are gonna laugh if you've watched my last video. I had it mixed up where I thought I had Red Faction Armageddon, but I did not. I actually had Gorilla in there, so I had 2 copies of Gorilla. I traded that in, and I picked up Red Faction Armageddon for the collection, and that was $5 in trade credit. Then we picked up Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, and again, I typically go for complete games, so they're all complete. And then I found this random SNES game with the Super Scope. It's called Metal Combat: Falcon's Revenge or something like that. Never heard of it, but worth throwing in the collection. Now, these next two are some of my favorites of the day. First of all, we picked up Kirby Star Allies, which, believe it or not, I don't have. I've sold it before, but I don't have it in the collection, so I'm excited to have that. If you know me, I'm a huge Kirby fan. I love all the Kirby games, so really excited to add that one. And this one is my favorite pickup of the whole day. There's still some really good ones, but this one's definitely my favorite, and that is Pokemon Gold. Now, this is the final Game Boy game that I need. Now I can move on to the Game Boy Advance. I only have a few of the Game Boy Advance games, but this is the last one that I needed for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. And it's in killer condition. Look at that. Brand new battery. It looks so good. But yeah, that's what we picked up there. Let's move on to our next stop. This is another really common stop for me up there. There's a GameStop not even a mile or two down the road from Complete in Box. And this one always has a great selection of like retro stuff, and I'm always impressed by it. So I actually had about $80 in trade credit. I used all of it over the course of the day, which is really cool. It's what I was hoping to do. And while I was looking around here, I found these 2 games at first. First of all, we got Shadows of the Damned. I'd never heard of this, but it looks so sick, and it was Complete in Box. I ended up paying $23 in trade credit for it. It's like a 30-some dollar game, something like that. Very cool, excited to add that to the collection. Then we picked up Commandos 2, Praetorians, and it's 2 different games in one. I love the Commandos game growing up when I was a kid, playing that on the PC. And then as I was checking out, I asked if they had any like 3DS games or Vita games hidden behind the counter. Of course, they had a massive selection of 3DS games that I did not get to film. But I did find a couple in here that I don't have. One is Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. It's not complete, but it was it ended up being like $9.50 or something like that. Worth it for me to throw in the collection. And we got Mario Tennis Open. I actually just played Mario Tennis on the N64, and I gotta tell you, it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a try on the 3DS. I don't think this is complete. Yeah, that one's not complete either. But again, for trade credit and to throw on the shelf, I'm in. Yeah, on to the next. Let's see what else we found. Now, here's an interesting one for you. There is actually a Goodwill not even a mile away from that GameStop, and I've found some things here before, but nothing too crazy. Up in the front, they had this glass case of the games were kind of just thrown all over the place. They actually had a decent selection for a Goodwill. The problem was that everything was $5 a game, which, you know, you're not going to get, that's not a great deal for a lot of games, but I did find one, and it's called Firewall Zero Hour. And again, I paid $5 for this. It's maybe a $15 game or so. It's a VR game, and I haven't added a VR game to the collection in a long time. So for me, $5 was worth it on this guy. I actually paid cash for this. So there's $5 on our tally. Really not too bad though. Yeah, let's see what else we found. So next I went to a store called Just Press Play. This one's in Lancaster. I go here a lot as well. I've kind of struck up a friendship with the manager, and he's super cool. We talk about all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different video games and things like that. And this store is really cool because the selection that it has, there's a lot of odd stuff. Like they have a good Sega Saturn setup in there. I thought about buying a few of those. They have tons of like weird stuff like Action Max VHSs. They have TurboGrafx 16 stuff, but again, no Atari Jaguar. I'm telling you, that system is so hard to collect for. I just never ever find anything for it out and about. But I ended up trading in a bunch of stuff. Like they really only took my ColecoVision games and some of my Atari Atari 2600 games, things like that. Nothing that's worth a lot of money. And they ended up giving me like $35 in trade credit. But let me show you what I did with that $35. First of all, we picked up an NES game. This is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I don't have this, but I love Indy. So we're gonna add this to the collection. Super cool. We picked up a game here called Warlock for the Super Nintendo. I've never played this game before, but I looked it up and it looks like it's up my alley. So we're gonna give that a shot as well. And next, this is the coolest one in this setup, this pickup. I got a boxed copy of Terminator 2 for the NES. Now, this one, you know, it's obviously got a little bit of damage. You can see there's some box damage, but to me, it's gonna display just fine from the side. Came with this cool acrylic case, and this was $12.99 at that store. Like, I mean, I know it's not in great shape, but it's complete. It's got everything in there for $12.99 for a complete in box NES game. So yeah, that's what I found at Just Press Play. I got a couple more stops here to show you, a couple GameStops and a Goodwill. Yeah, so let's dive in. I love the fact that GameStop is starting to carry some more of the retro stuff. I think that's really fun. It's cool for me because again, I can trade in some stuff and get some stuff for free essentially. But this one was actually a pretty cool stop for a different reason. Now, again, I was looking around, I found some 3DS games, some DS games that were interesting, and I wanted to pick up this Kirby Mass Attack. Now, I went to go buy it, and they didn't have the game. And I basically asked the guy, hey, since you don't have the game, can I just have the case? He goes, yep. So I ended up getting this case for free. It is not complete. It's got some kind of manuals in here. But either way, I will totally take this for free. I know I'm going to come across that game eventually. You guys know I love Kirby, so I'll be working hard to complete this one. But not a bad pickup for free. It never hurts to ask, right? Yeah, so there it is. Next, I stopped at one final Goodwill, and they had some games in here that was actually interesting because there were some sealed Wii games. And you know, sometimes I do well with sealed shovelware. But what they had here was like a Jillian Michaels and something else, some kind of hunting game. and they ended up not being worth me picking up, so I ended up leaving them behind. But it was still cool to find some sealed games in a Goodwill, or games at all in a Goodwill, because I never find them in my Goodwills at home. Final stop of the day, guys. It was a GameStop just down the road from that Goodwill. I go here a lot as well, but I gotta tell you, this Goodwill smelled very weird. I can't explain it, but every GameStop kind of has the same smell. This one just smelled like it was rotten, man. I don't know what was going on in there. But I walked in and they had a very small selection of retro stuff, but I ended up picking up this copy of Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, and I used my last little bit of trade credit. So you can see over the course of this day, this one is actually complete, so that's cool. Over the course of this day, I picked up some really cool stuff, and I spent very little money on any of it, like $5 or so. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm getting close to the end of my eBay break here, and I'm ready to start getting back and selling some stuff, because I was able to get rid of a ton of the crap that I needed to get rid of in this basement, because it's, you know, I don't have a ton of space, so it piles up quickly. But yeah, that's really all that I had to show you guys today. I really appreciate you sticking around and watching and seeing what we picked up, going along for the ride with me as usual. If you have any questions, you can like, comment, and subscribe. You can comment here. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok, where I'm at the Retro Gaming Collective. And when I'm back up on eBay, I am the Retro Gaming Collective there as well. But again, that's all I have to show you guys. I really appreciate it. Until next time, happy hunting.